Well, today I have another boombox. It's an Aiwa CSD-EX10. Supposedly the radio and the CD work, but the tape needs work because it's not working. Looks like a TN-21Z Tanashin Mech. One with a little auto-stop lever that moves up and down. Looks like it's got a magnetic head as well, not a proper erase head, just a magnet that seems to be peeling off and been warped in the sun or something. Dusty speakers, but really this is not a collectible type boombox. It's more of a, well, these cords cost you $2 to buy a figure 8 cord, so the cord will be handy off it for something possibly, and more of a parts machine, I think. That's meant to be the radio, dicky switch, of course. We've got the auto stop thing clicking. There's the radio. And have we got a good antenna? Well, that was worth it as well. That's actually quite a good parts box, this one. Got a good antenna. Another figure 8 power cord, but a lot of those I just end up cutting the end off and using them as a replacement power cord on things. Battery compartment's actually pretty mint, which is often the case with these newer ones, because no one ever used them on battery. Most of them are just a home unit. And we have a KSS-210, is it? Yeah, 210B, I think. So that's another useful part out of these, is the laser, or the whole CD mechanism. Uh-oh, it's died. Well, someone didn't plug the power cord in properly. The display is missing some segments, or is that just, I don't know, this display's a bit weird, I think. Gone back to 000 minus a few bits, so I think we've got a multiplexing problem or something there. Maybe the display itself has failed. Play. Yeah, it's actually looking alright now. Oh no, it's not. We're missing the... Oh, sometimes it's there, sometimes it's not. What on earth is... What is it, the angle you look at it? What is going on there? No, that segment drops in and out. That is really weird. Bit touchy. Yeah, slow to return, but that's probably about right. And we've got the famous Tanashin clicking mechanism thing. Oh, what the hell? Oh, because I pressed stop eject. And as someone suggested, which was a good point, you can use pause to shut or to defeat the auto stops in most things. So that's the second one I've had of these with a click click fall. I thought it was only the dual deck one deck would make the other one click, but maybe these also just do it randomly. I know I've fixed that issue with Tanashins before. I can't remember what I did with the last one. I retensioned the spring, I think. Check that. Oh yeah, oh nice simple. Ugh, filthy. They're always filthy. Looks like someone spilled a drink or something in this one. Could be one of the tape mech's not too happy. Pull the speakers out. Yes, there's something brown in there and dripped all down. It's on the, that's why our display's faulty. It looks like dried up. I never know what that is, that brown stuff. But it's like a brown goo. It's either coffee or Coca-Cola or something like that. Used to be quite common in electronics. I doubt cleaning that's going to fix it, but you never know. Interesting to see if that gets that LCD. That's why I thought it was a bit of a weird fault, but that's usually why you've got a weird fault, is because something like that is not an electronic failure as such, but a environmental failure. Usually it's the most disgusting gooey stuff. I'm not sure if I can get all that off there. That is just thick tar-like dried up remains of something. But that's often what you find in remote controls and stuff as well. always seems to be whatever this used to be. So it must be a common drink. Yeah, that's gone as hard as hell. Basically, it may well have seeped into the display and damaged it. Can't even get the bits off the front. That is really hard to dissolve. That is just super stuck on. And now actually scraping there is probably not a good idea, because usually that's where the layer of, from these pins, is something on the glass, conductive stuff that goes in under the other layer of glass and actually gets your signal in, so scraping that, not really recommended. But I don't have much choice. Between the pins should be safe. That should be where the problem is, if it's even conductive. I doubt that made the slightest difference. I may have even made it worse, who knows. CD, now it's exactly the same. Segments missing everywhere. Well, at least I didn't make it worse. Now I wonder if I can do this without even taking the tape mech out. Oh, what have we got to... I forget which bit is something down in there we've got to click. Or clip, unclip. Of course, I did one not long ago and I've already forgotten how you unclip it. Oh, that's better. Got a big sheet of copper coated something there. 24th 08 051. Oh, we got a Tanashin, later Tanashin label. Nice. That's their later red. Don't know if the camera will pick that up, but it's actually got Tanashin in grey, TAN. The A is a little red triangle thing with bands in it, SHIN. Registered trademark. 24th of the 8th, 05 would be a likely date for this unit. Nah, it is like that. Oh, it is on the front side, so I think so. It clicks onto that front bit. Well, we got it, and I think there's some dust in there, that may not be helping. Okay, so this is the black lever, the auto stop bit that was clicking, and it clicks because it catches on the little piece that's meant to run around the rim of this wheel, and if it comes in any further, there's a little piece on this eccentric bit that catches it, and that's what pushes this thing, and then it operates the auto stop thing. So it needs to be pushing up on this top lever. There's another little tiny spring sticking up there which is related to the pause button. In pause mode it holds it permanently up against that rim. And this thing does look a little bendy, so I wonder if it's a bit warped. Like I said, I think this arm is sitting up a bit higher than that one. I think it's a bit warped, this plastic bit. But anyway, that's meant to sit up on there. When that spring's not engaged by the pause, it is free to move a little bit. So when we go into play mode, these two little pieces, the arm's just loose in there, so it can drop down and catch and hit auto stop, or it can rise up, and it's these little pieces here. When we turn on it, the reel, this little piece here, swings side to side, and that puts an upward pressure onto our thing to keep it in the upright position. And basically as soon as the reel stops turning and that's not pushing up, this thing's free to drop a bit and hit on the little catch that catches it, and then it'll trigger the stop. So when it's not, no buttons pressed, it's actually got this other little spring holding it in place. So you can see it springs back up. It's not loose anymore, because that's to make sure it doesn't work. And that's the arm of the spring, and you can probably hopefully see where I've bent it. So I've pulled the spring out and bent this upper piece over that way to the right relative to where the mech is at the moment. And I think when we press down, you can see that spring go right across. It's releasing the tension of the spring so that the reels take over. And as long as either of these reels is pulling a tape to the other reel, you can see if we go in the reverse direction. Actually, that's play direction, because we're upside down on this deck. So when we're in the forward direction, that pushes it up, so either fast forward or play. When we go and rewind, it spins back the other way, and this other little piece presses on the same bit, keeps it up and stops it. But as soon as that stops, those bits at least don't press on it. They might stay roughly in position, but they're loose now. There's no friction lifting them up, and this thing drops down. So in the stop mode, it's just that spring which is doing everything. This one was still a bit picky, so I'm not sure what's... I suspect this piece may be warped a bit. It certainly doesn't look 100%. And the front of the tape deck is a bit... I don't know what gets out in the first place. There probably is warpage of this plastic bit, or something's just ever so slightly changed. But usually pulling that spring out and yeah, just bending it sort of in a clockwise direction. In theory, you probably don't even have to take the piece out, I don't think. Now that I remember what it is, we should be able to lift that up, and maybe if you can grab it with one pair of pliers down there somewhere. Of course it's going to drop down now, but if you can grab the base of it and then just squeeze this up a bit, bend it sort of turning clockwise so it bends across, like I say, to the right side of the mech a little bit. That should be enough, and then we can swing that back across, drop it behind this little metal lever. So you don't even really need to take this piece off. And even then it is starting to stick down a little bit, isn't it? Why is it doing that? So despite the spring, I probably should have lubed it as well. It could be that these arms are warped and it's pressing on the reel or something. Seems to have a bit of clearance. So I think this one's still not 100%. If anything causes this thing to bind up or anything so it can stay down and doesn't spring back into place, you'll get that clicking. So we're out, I think it's more once we're out of the mode. Once stop is disengaged, this thing, if it grabs it, it'll make this metal piece go up and it'll click, but of course there's nothing to unlatch. Every time it goes around, that little piece clicks. But if we let it go, it should follow the outside, and it didn't that time. So it shows something's a little... Now it's back to doing the right thing. So of course, if this little pin sticking down bends slightly one way or the other, or the arm that's on, I guess, can twist a little bit, that'll just go a little bit closer to that pin and catch. It's just something, must be something like that's getting out. Making this bit out of plastic probably wasn't the brightest idea in hindsight, but if it's a good stable plastic, to be fair, this one I think it's been in the sun, so it's probably just warped this end bit just ever so slightly relative to the pin that it pivots on. Something here's got out, and it just means that spring needs to push this thing a little higher now than it did before. You'd think the spring would, regardless, would push it even if it's a slight bit out. But there must be something goes wrong there. Oh, we just clicked again. It shouldn't be doing that. And there it caught slightly. And that's the kind of weird stuff you get at all. So it could be that the pivot here is not sliding properly. Could be the plastic bit that this little front bit of it slides on. I probably should have put a little bit of grease on there. I don't know whether you really need to take it off. To get them off, you just got to sort of poke in there and flick over to that side. Tilt it up that way. So you're sort of pushing down and pushing against what is this little clip. If that shows up, but there's a little clip, you can see it now. Clip sticking up, so when I put the screwdriver through that hole, I'm basically going down and pushing on that clip to release it. If you do that, you've got to then loosen this spring off, because that bit's, it's gone flying, it's got to sit on top of this. The other possibility is this plastic bit has warped and lifted or something. It could be anything really. I don't know what particular part gets out. The other option is to swap the part from another one. I guess we better check this one actually works fine. I think it did. Wind that on a bit. Turn this in the high spot. That one's nice and free. I'm fairly certain that will fix it when you change these sometimes. I'll better put the spring back in. I think it's still not coming back. It's better. I only did it a couple of times, seems to be alright now. Yeah, it's going fully back. Well, let's try winding it through. Seems to be fine. Let's give it a bit of a helping hand not to be fine. Oh no, now it's stuck down. Oh, it came back in the end. That's in place. Yeah, now I see it didn't go up for a second and then it finally flicked. So this one's better, but I don't think it's perfect. It's a bit slow there, I think. I don't know, it is on the piece. Yeah, if it delays at all, it has a risk of catching. That one's pretty reliable. Let's put the other one in the other mech, which hasn't been modified on the spring or anything. But I suspect both plastic faces might be contributing on that deck. The one on this and the one on the mech itself have been damaged, I think. It seems to follow right here, which probably supports the theory that it is partly at least due to the deck. And probably mostly due to the deck by the look of it, because this one seems to work alright here. Let's run everything through its paces a bit. Alright. Take that off and it should stay. Ah, it slipped off. It didn't actually auto stop, or am I pressing on it a bit? There it goes. No, that's following fine, so it's definitely not this piece, I don't think. It's something in the deck causing friction. It could be wear even on the little hole where it goes in, or something's allowing it to move around too much. But you think if the hole was worn, this bit would be worn as well, but who knows. Let's try this one again. Let's keep that bit off it, and it should, yeah, fails to lift. That seems a little slow then. It occasionally just seems to delay lifting as quickly as the gear allows it to. That eccentric gear, just like, yeah, the spring isn't pushing hard enough, or it's catching on something, but that's not too bad. Ironically, these both decks are fixed by swapping the bits over. So maybe it is, like I say, a combination of the both. That one doesn't have too much friction, so it works fine, and that one, this one doesn't have any friction on the pivoting bit, so it works fine. But if you put that one with a bit of friction on the pivoting bit onto the base with a bit of friction, you have so much friction that it plays up. But this one did show a little bit of hesitation. Because when it's down, it pushes down and it just doesn't return. But that is quite reasonable. So there you go, maybe just swapping those parts between decks will do it. But I think this one, yeah, so replacing that bit would have fixed it. but it's still probably got an issue with the plastic a bit. But it goes to show, if you just get rid of a little bit of friction, that should be enough to get the thing working again. Now it's possible this will eventually wear away on this bit, but I did scrape it, so hopefully I got rid of whatever was causing the friction to a degree. Obviously still causing a bit. Oh, there we go. So it's still going to do the odd bit maybe. Yeah, there's still too much friction there, so I think this is what you would call a dead tape deck. If it is caused by this base bit, then yeah, there it just delayed again. Then you would chuck it out. And that's why I always used to keep a couple of what looked like low hours salvage decks around, because it's not worth spending 2 or 3 hours messing around potentially just to try and fix one of these things. Better just quote them, swap the time to swap the head possibly, and the motor and a couple of things, a couple of electrical connections to get the right connectors on them and the right voltage and stuff, and just swap the mechanism itself. It's unfortunately not a quick easy fix. Now the other real thing with this display is there's probably not much point cleaning it, because it probably, like I was saying about those little contacts that go, it's like a transparent, conductive, probably vapor deposition, metallic thing or something. I wonder if this actual stuff has already eaten it off, so me scratching it probably didn't matter, because it's probably what's happened. It's corroded off between these circuit board pins and where it goes in under the top layer of glass. That'd be what's gone, I reckon. So that's not gonna be repairable, I don't think. Right, so that's Tanashin underneath. You can see the red A bit of the thing, which is just a triangle with a few lines in it. That's the sort of corporate logo, and it's still stamping their dates on things while I look at it at this stage. So there's a cool little thing. And we've actually got some splattered stuff on there by the look of it, so something has got in here. Someone's really dropped a drink on this thing or something. I'll get some photos of that, and maybe we'll... Probably not much else I'll do with this thing. I don't know that it's really worthwhile. We've got a faulty CD display. I might be better off just keep the circuit board out of it, or circuit boards there in 2 pieces. The CD Mech, a handy Tanashin tape Mech. I've got a spare head, pin roller. That's all. The pin roller is actually really clean. A little bit of muck on the capstan, but I don't think this has seen a lot of tape usage. Head doesn't look at all worn. We've got a good, what is it, probably a useless voltage. Oh no, there's a 12 volt motor in this one. That's right, of course, if they got CD players in them, I think I said it in one video before, they've usually got a 12 volt motor because CD motors run on 12. So that's an interesting thing to remember, that any of these that are cheap, the motors are potentially useful in component tape decks, and I mean, you're going to be paying $15 or something for a new one of those these days. Of course the old one may have wow or something. The head's a similar sort of price. Pinch roller is not so expensive, but it's nice to have an original one. I've got a whole Tanashin Mech for bits. This is one of their straight up button ones made for upside down mounting. So a vertical. There's also like a good headphone socket which may fit other things. Volume pot. Amp chip possibly useful for something, but I wouldn't count on it. Regulated transistor. There must be something broken here because I found a couple of loose bits. So it's been dropped as well. Might be a good tuning cap or something in the radio that we need one day. Most other parts are pretty useless in audio. I never used to salvage anything. Normally I would just, out of these later units, just take the tape deck maybe. Although I always had a couple of spare ones of those, so most of the time I wouldn't have bothered because they're all the same. And the CD Mech, definitely worth saving for parts. And the rest of it you'd pretty much chuck away. Got to the point I didn't even bother keeping these speakers, but these days, yeah, they're getting a lot harder to get. So they could probably make good replacement speakers for something that's got the foam gone or faded or whatever. Black domed ones. So yeah, for $12 I wasn't going to say no to that. Just for parts. The fact some of it even worked was even better, especially the CD player. At least you know you might get a good laser or a reasonable laser to fix something else. So I think we'll call it quits on that one, so thanks for watching.